Start your engines. We've got two top young players. Lots of buzz surrounding both these guys, and you know I love them both. They've both secured their Katowice berths, so neither's too worried about the whole last chance aspect with this tournament. But whenever these two match up, we always seem to get a really good game. Sadly, MaxPax had to decline his invitation to Katowice this year, so maybe I'll just appreciate that I can watch him today. That's actually an early SCV for Clem. I can't remember seeing him scout like this before. Oh yeah, he's doing something wonky to start us off here. Looking forward to this. That is a weird spot to put your barracks, MaxPax with the gate and go. I mean, we did see this a lot by Koreans back in the Wings of Liberty days. Better get some intros in then. Our Terran player is a lover of both cats and widow mines. He is Clem!
Current world rank 7.
Normally, the idea behind a proxy is you want to decrease the rush distance to your opponent so you can surprise them with an aggressive attack. Oh yeah, that probe's gonna miss it. But Clem's proxy does very little to help him cut rush distance. Instead, I think the idea is to make your opponent panic and think they're getting proxy. The probe sees there's no racks at the top of the ramp, and yeah, look at that. MaxPax with the immediate zealot. You can't be taking the minimum precautions when your name is MaxPax!
Current world rank 13.
So now Clem has baited MaxPax into overreacting a bit here. But Clem is making a Reaper. You can see that MaxPax has double scouts zipping around the map trying to find where that Rax rush is coming from. But he's not likely to find it because it's kind of in a stupid place. And the idea is that's what makes it brilliant. Also, the Reaper's on its way, and normally Protoss defends that with an Adept, but look what MaxPax doesn't have. He doesn't have that Adept, but he is making a Stalker. So this could have gone a lot worse for him. But Zealots without charge versus Reapers, not that great. Oh, the Reaper's got a pretty clear path to the mineral line. He's gonna take it. Meanwhile, while he's doing all of this, Clem still gets his 1-1-1 build off. MaxPax pulls off half his probes to fight. Clem kills the probe, that's the first blood. Can the Stalker get the revenge shot? No, the Reaper escapes. So a good start for Clem. It's just a small edge, but Starcraft is a game of small edges adding up. Clem goes ahead and starts up his CC, but it is on the high ground, so he's going to be behind for expansions. Clem knows that once you force your opponent to make a bunch of military units, they're not just going to leave them at home, they're going to use them. And that's what MaxPax is doing. He's pushing across the map. The Reaper is going to see it. He's going to take some pot shots at that Zealot, try to slow it down. That causes the Stalker to go back. Nope, MaxPax is determined to continue his attack. I think Clem's going to hit first. MaxPax does have another Stalker at home now, though. So this isn't as huge a problem as I first thought. Meanwhile, Clem's already making his trademark Widow Mines. MaxPax is off to the races as well. He's got his Twilight Council done already. Here comes MaxPax's attack. Oh, he sees the wall and decides to pull back. I'm not sure why, though. He couldn't have seen those Widow Mines. He's just got a sense of things. And it's going to be an early drop for Clem. Oh, MaxPax is in position to see it. That is an important scout, and what's more, he's going to be able to soften up that medevac on his trip over. I don't know how he managed to do that, but MaxPax just knew it was coming. His predictive powers were just superior. That was great. And now Warp Gates is done, so he has a chance to warp in even more Stalkers at home. Instead of a surprise ambush, Clem's walking into a set defense here. Oh, he could lose his medevac here. He does! Only 2 of the 3 mines get out. MaxPax does not yet have detection. His Robo's just finishing up now. Clem got his armory. Those mines are cloaked. Oh, and the Reaper came back at the same time. He's battling probes. Oh, this has just been a terrific opening. A great attack by Clem with a very disciplined defense. And at the end of it, it's MaxPax who comes out on top. Clem knows he's got to get his natural expansion going. He's behind on the mining game. MaxPax has the worker lead, and he's now free to saturate his natural. Please, people, when you're landing your command center, always remember to bend your knees. There it is, Protoss out mining the Terran at this stage of the game. Clem drops the mule, he's gonna do something about that. But MaxPax starts up his third. And the game continues. Protoss is going to finish Blink at this point. And he's now got a lot of stalkers with observers. And that presents more than just an existential threat to the Terran. Now, Clem did make a Raven, and he's now making a Viking. So it's likely that Clem's thought ahead, and he's got a plan to try to shut down those observers. Otherwise, he can wind up with Blink stalkers in his main. Oh, Clem is getting stim as well. So we will see the full transition into classic Clem bio. Oh, MaxPax doesn't have much use for his Zealot without the charge upgrade at this point. He's going to send it off scouting. Ah, it looks like Clem's attacking his own tank, but he's actually killing the buildable plates underneath it. Can you imagine being the driver of that tank with all these Marines shooting under you? What are you guys doing? Oh yeah, MaxPax is totally thinking about blinking into the main here. And his observer's not seeing a lot of defense. Where is that Raven? The Viking was guarding the side, probably looking for a warp prism. And Clem has to do a worker pull. He's got the Marines to clean this up, but he did not want to lose the income. Oh, MaxPax used up his blink. He can't get out. And now Clem cuts off the exit route. This is a one-way trip for those stalkers. And only 2 worker kills. Somehow, Clem managed to turn this into a favorable engagement. Oh, is that stalker going to pick up more SCVs here? There's a tank on the low ground, actually. But he was dealing with a stalker at the natural. A very successful defense by Clem. This is turning into a bit of a defender's game. Clem's going to come out of this with his stim, his combat shields, and his +1 upgrade. MaxPax, on the other hand, got himself that Robo Bay. He's going to have a Colossus to deal with that bio. As I say this, MaxPax starts up Extended Thermal Lance. I mean, nobody likes their thermal lances unextended. I mean, really, the manufacturer should just include that as a base feature. But it's that kind of nickel and diming that always seems to happen when there's not enough competition between your major 4-legged robot manufacturers. I know, it drives me nuts too. Oh, while Clem's coming up the middle, his Raven's sneaking around the right, and he's actually got a Viking on the left. This is like a triple attack here. A little bit of auto turret harass behind the natural. Oh, the Marines are going to feast on that Immortal. The Colossus can definitely help, but he's going to get outranged by the tank. I make jokes, but that Extended Thermal Lance becomes exceedingly important at this point. The tank's got a range of 13, the Colossus just 7. And yes, there's a Penguin landing in the main. If you missed that recent Penguin game I cast, you're missing out big time. You thermal busts out the most amazing landed Viking build. Loved it. How is MaxPax holding this? This attack is just evil, and MaxPax is surviving it. And he's upgrading his Zealot legs and +1 attack at the same time. But Clem has the follow-up. 2 loaded medevacs on the way. There are Widow Mines in there. Oh, love, love, love that tank position. MaxPax can't see it. It's behind sight blockers. But every time a Marine wanders forward, that tank gets to fire a shot. Drop in the main happens, but MaxPax is there. There's no tank to protect the bio from the Colossus this time, but there is a Widow Mine in there. It gets left behind, and I don't think MaxPax knows about it. Clem is just in a relentless attack mode at this point. But somehow, MaxPax just keeps taking the hits and stabilizing. He's down on army, no question, but he's remained on even basis, and he's close on workers. This is not the Clem stomping I know and love. We've got ourselves a game here. In fact, I think the last time I cast these two on this channel, MaxPax wound up taking the boots to Clem. Anywho, it does look like Clem is saturating his third while this is going on. I think he has an appreciation this wasn't the game-winning assault that he had hoped. MaxPax starts up +2 attack, whereas Clem goes for +1 armor. So we're essentially even on upgrades, Clem with the economic advantage just based on muling alone, and a small edge in Clem's favor on the resources lost category. Oh, Clem's gonna try to reverse cliff the Protoss. That's always tough to do when your opponent has Colossi, but nothing about this game has been easy. Clem is reacting to the Colossi though, he's making Vikings. Also, he's going heavier on Marauders. That might just be because they're good against Stalkers, but they just hold up so much better against those Colossi raking lasers. It's not just that the Marauder has better base hit points, the Colossi laser does 50% more damage against light type. Marines are light, Marauders are not. Though I think when Blizzard created the Colossus, they really had an anti-Zergling machine in mind. But the game always has a life of its own, and it eventually became the anti-Terran bio device. Clem picks up his forces and drops them in the main. It's still backed up by that reverse clipping tank. MaxPax buys time with a battery overcharge, but Clem snipes the battery. It does look like MaxPax is going to clean this up, but boy, is he taking a shellacking from that tank to do it. There, he turns his attention on clearing that tank. He really wanted some zealots on the low ground to deal with that. So yet again, Clem deals a series of punches and MaxPax somehow rolls with it. Just as before, Clem has that supply lead, but not enough to be comfortable. MaxPax is doing that Rocky impression. Every hit just makes him madder and stronger somehow. And if he ever gets some room to breathe, this counterattack could be impressive. Oh, a Stargate for MaxPax. Not sure what that's about, but Clem's making ghosts. Ghost Academy's already done, and the first 3 ghosts are getting trained up as we speak. Extra robo for MaxPax. No warp prism so far this game. I could see EMPs becoming a factor in this game. MaxPax does not have Templar to feedback them. You know me. If a Protoss player doesn't have a battle duck, I just gotta assume they've made some kind of atrocious error. Definitely curious about the 11-minute Stargate for MaxPax. I'm guessing it's for an Oracle so he can keep some tags on the Terran army. Clem's adding an extra starport of his own, but I don't think that has anything to do with MaxPax's Stargate. I think he just wants his Viking count up to deal with the Colossi. Clem is floating his factory. No more mech from him this game. He is done with Widow Mines and tanks. He wants to be more mobile. Clem's also making missile turrets, which makes me wonder if he somehow did see that Stargate. But I think he's just worried about counter drops into his main in general. Hey, those stalkers have actually trapped a critter. That little jaguar thing he's trying to get out. Oh, he releases it. Whoa, he does not want to take on Clem's entire army with just that handful of stalkers. And now concussive shells is going to make his getaway expensive. That is the Terran Marauder advantage. Your opponent must pay a 10% surcharge every time they try to retreat. MaxPax was trying for a 4th, but Clem shuts it down and forces the cancel. At the same time, Clem's actually taking a 4th. Clem is looking to see if he can get an edge by getting ahead on bases. MaxPax is getting +1 air attack. He really is going for an air transition here. He's also adding in disruptors, which makes a ton of sense because we know how good he is with those. The ghosts are popping off those EMPs and we can really see those shields on the Protoss units evaporate. MaxPax calls down another battery overcharge. Those things are so tough to push into and Clem backs off. Maybe not far enough because there's a purification nova. Hold the phone, I just realized MaxPax made a fleet beacon. MaxPax is going carriers. I'm not making this up, he's going carriers. 2 at a time. Apparently MaxPax wants to practice his PvZ. You do not see carriers used against Terran very often. But MaxPax is an unorthodox player with novel strats, and that's one of the reasons why we adore him. My immediate thought though is Clem's already got a whole bunch of Vikings out. What Clem doesn't have though is that many Marines, because he switched over to Marauders pretty hard. Clem's researching enhanced shockwaves, that's pretty much a must-have at this point in the game. I guess he can use EMP on the carriers and interceptors. Oh, forget the 4th base denial, Clem's looking at outright denying the 3rd. MaxPax is one of those rare elite players though who can actually work Colossus and Disruptors at the same time. Try it sometime in the safety of your own home, it is not easy to do. Disruptors are hard enough to micro when they're the only unit in your army. MaxPax goes for his 4th base again, Clem's there to shut it right down, that's his first order of business. It's a strategy that's working for him. Clem is slowly building an economic lead here. There's the cancel on that 4th. Clem is steadily adding to his Viking count. He's seen the first 2 carriers pop out. In theory, the Vikings are a soft counter to about half of MaxPax's army. They annihilate Colossi and they're very good against carriers. But I guess the theory breaks down when you've got all those Blink Stalkers to worry about. A shadow falls over the ground as MaxPax begins to make a play for his 4th once again. Contrary to what I've been saying, the chart seems to show that Clem's economic lead is not that huge. Clem has maxed out. He finished off his supply by adding in Liberators. And he's adding a fusion core and an additional starport. Are we gonna get Sky Terran versus Sky Toss? This game might evolve into a rare treat, guys. No, it's not happening. This isn't some new game with all capital shit. Clem denies the 4th and there was no cancel on it this time. That stings a little, as does the EMPs on those stalkers. Carriers number 3 and 4 add into MaxPax's death ball. And once again, Clem drops into the main. Is there an overcharge available? Clem kills another pylon and MaxPax is supply block. Clem says, I own your ramp. MaxPax says, I'm coming up anyway. There is a ton of DPS in MaxPax's death ball. Clem was maxed out 2 seconds ago. Now MaxPax has a supply lead and he's supply blocked. Back at home, Clem's making double command centers. I don't think he's just looking to expand like crazy. I think he's looking to do that thing where you have extra orbitals so you can replace your SCVs with mules. That way late game Terran can get that extra inflated army. And right now that extra army involves Vikings. Clem's making them 4 at a time. He's also desperately trying to get up missile turrets. In theory, those just wreck interceptors. But Clem's not just defending, he's also countering while MaxPax is away. But he popped in just a smidge too early and MaxPax is able to double back. No, Clem's going in again. Who says you never double dip? But this time there's a blink forward and he will get caught with his hand in the cookie jar. But Clem is able to pick up his entire army and that gets him out of a sticky situation. So at this point, Clem has double the income. He's ahead on supply. He's got more workers, he's got more army, but it still feels like MaxPax has got his finger on this game. He's getting his +2 air attack. That is a key numeric upgrade in PvZ. I have no idea if it's as impactful in PvT. Having stabilized his third base, MaxPax turns to attack. Clem did buy himself enough time to get his turrets up and a lot of Vikings. These compositions are not normal. Let's see how they play out. MaxPax plows towards the Terran's third, doesn't care about the red circle of rage. The missile turrets evaporate, and the interceptors just go to work on the orbital. Clem saves it with an SCV hug. Oh, that is a lot of firepower with those Vikings. Every time Clem can rifle off a shot, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be up to the Stalkers to limit the opportunities for that to happen. Clem punishes him for it though, an enhanced EMP hits all those Stalkers. But there are so many disruptor shots. It keeps Clem's army at bay. When that happens, the Stalkers are free to worry the Vikings. There is so much rock, scissors, paper going on in such a confined space. But the end result is that Clem has to lift off his orbital to save it. Clem has taken a fresh 5th base, and his 3rd is mostly mined out at this point. So it's almost more of a moral victory for MaxPax than it is a tactical one. Oh, Clem's looking to re-land his CC already. Well, it can land, but only in the form of a pile of ash. MaxPax's Stalkers catch the Vikings unescorted. Their defenders are out of position, dodging disruptor blasts. Clem's still remaking his Vikings, still 4 at a time. This is such a brainy game. And as a result, MaxPax has claimed the ramp. He's on top of the production at the natural, and it's Clem's turn to have to fight up his own ramp. And that is really hard to do when your opponent is rolling disruptor blasts down it. And suddenly MaxPax's carriers are looking so smart. How are these Vikings not able to deal with the carriers? Well, I'm pretty sure the answer starts with an S and rhymes with Ocker. Those Vikings must be celebrities because they do not appreciate Stalkers. And there's no doubt about it, these Stalkers are trespassing big time. Clem still has double the income of MaxPax though. He's spending it on everything he can think of. MaxPax is just remaking his interceptors. And there goes the natural. And suddenly it's 3 bases to 3. Clem's got to be enraged at his celebrity Vikings. How have they not taken down those carriers? And now MaxPax is getting position over the main. Clem is in serious trouble now. This could be game here. He's making liberators, but they're never going to complete. Oh, it's a mass liftoff by Clem. It's an exodus. His buildings are going on a sojourn. The Terran production exits stage right. Clem's gonna counter. I think he's just given up battling MaxPax's death ball. He's trying for a base race. As we see, the ability to lift off is an advantage for Terran. MaxPax says, I got my advantage right here. It's an army supply of 132. Clem is dwindling. Not even his fortress can withstand this. He does a massive SCV hug to hold his fortress, and then he puts his Vikings over top of it to hold the airspace. Meanwhile, he tries to stash his buildings in Switzerland. Oh my god, Clem's counterattack is actually making some progress. It looks like MaxPax is down to base race. He's not defending. If so, this fortress just needs to buy time. Oh, that's one way to deal with an SCV hug. Disruptor blasts all over it. Oh, fortress be gone. This time it's Clem's turn to be supply blocked, and it's a whole lot worse for him. Clem is down to 1 mining base. and his base where he's hit all his production facilities. MaxPax really doesn't have much in the way of mining either. I just don't think MaxPax cares. As long as he's got enough to keep rebuilding his interceptors, he's happy. We're gonna have to start counting the number of remaining structures pretty soon, but right now there's still too many to get a handle on it. Clem's making extra depots to give himself an edge in that regard, but I think it's mostly to stop himself from getting supply blocked. Oh, base races. 60 dead workers in the last few seconds. MaxPax with the recall, pulling off the Protoss answer to the Terran base race. That was actually a very good moment to call it off, because Clem's down to 7 workers, and it persuades Clem to GG. MaxPax seals game 1 with a timely recall. And that was pretty wild. Okay, I want to underscore what just happened. MaxPax just won a game against a very, very top player by doing something that's generally accepted as a strategy that does not work. Carriers against Terran. Yes, this is a great strategy at low-level play. Go for it. I commend you Protoss players to it. Max out on carriers and go win. A time-honored Starcraft tradition dating back to even before Brood War. But at the pro level, this strategy is generally considered to be a failure. Why? For 3 reasons, I say. 1, a top player will just stim his 3-3 Marine Ball and the interceptors will go poof. There's nothing sadder than empty carriers. 2, Vikings are super solid against carriers. With their vastly superior range, they can blow them apart from afar. And 3, missile turrets. Dollar for dollar, a thicket of turrets is terrific for clearing out interceptors. MaxPax shows me the error of my ways. Abandon all your preconceptions. Why? Because he's not playing just carriers. He's integrated them into his combined arms army. 1, a Marine Ball is nothing more than fodder for his disruptors. What good are those 3-3 Marines when all they are doing is running away? And Marauders? Not so good against carriers. 2, Vikings are countered by Blink Stalkers. Now, MaxPax made this look a lot easier than it actually is. But if your Stalkers are everywhere the Vikings are trying to get to, Vikings are not so great after all. 3, missile turrets. Once they're unprotected, missile turrets are pretty bad against anything on the ground. So apparently, just as protein is a valuable part of your diet, carriers are now a part of the Protoss death ball in PvT. But my point in all of this is, you gotta be pretty skilled to do all this. You're working multiple control groups simultaneously here. You're working those disruptors and stalkers continuously. This is not an F2A situation. So respect to MaxPax for showing us how this is done at the most elite levels. This would never happen, but you know what would be the biggest of ironies of all time? Let's say this becomes part of the PvT meta. In 6 months to a year, I will start reading internet posts from Terran players complaining that Terran does not have, wait for it, microbial shroud. What a bizarro world we would then be living in. Tell me the ever-changing StarCraft 2 meta is not awesome. Tell me. All kidding aside, I can't wait to get to game 2. So, Adjutant, if you would please.
The game begins now.
We're back with game 2, and the question on everybody's mind is, will we see carriers again? No, just me? That's alright, I can be alone in that. Last game in game 1, Clem opened with the half proxy or fake proxy. It was a pretty interesting opener. It kind of got overshadowed by MaxPax's composition though. Low ground pylon for Protoss. This time things are going to play out on a map called Hardwire. Hold it now, that's another early scout. He's kind of got a weird pathing. It does appear that Clem is going to repeat that aforementioned half proxy from game 1. Instigate and go out of MaxPax. But this might be one of those days when it doesn't pay to scout. He's probably going to wind up with misinformation again. Hold the phone. A second SCV has arrived. I think I get it now. This time it's real. I think it's going to be a double racks. Well, that doesn't quite make sense either, because Clem's getting his gas. Usually with the double racks, you get it later and you just go pure minerals for a while. But this is kind of neat. Clem is building off of game 1 with a strategy in game 2. MaxPax's probe is going to see the barracks missing just like he did in game 1, but this time it's much more real. In game 1, Clem made a Reaper and then just brought it back home. And in so doing, he kind of spoofed MaxPax into making a Zealot, which he has just done again. He probably feels he has no choice. If there's a double racks and he doesn't have the Zealot, he could straight up lose. But if he saw the gas, he should have guessed, just as I should have guessed, that Clem's not making Marines, he's making Reapers. And a Zealot is not going to help MaxPax with that. He does have his core down though. That means he's going to be able to get himself a Stalker or an Adept. Double Reapers now in production. I love the different kinds of openings we often get to see at the Last Chance tournament. Everybody knows their opponents are going to try to scout them for Katowice, so they try to show different stuff. MaxPax with a proxy pylon. Instead of attacking with his Reaper, Clem pulled it back to get the first blood on that scout. Oh, and in so doing, he's going to luck out and find the proxy pylon. If he had just rushed, he wouldn't have known about it. Clem puts down a Stargate. I don't know about that. He decided to commit to it even though it got scouted. Is that pylon actually still going to be there by the time the Stargate's complete? Not if Clem's pulling like 6 SCVs to deal with it. MaxPax is going to have to cancel and lose his investment. No, he doubles down, adding 2 fresh pylons. Clem says, fine, I'll kill your Stargate. MaxPax says, fine, I'll kill some of your SCVs. He's brought his troops over to harass. Clem's making Marines and he's making a factory behind this. Oh, he adds even more SCVs to the front. There's an economic cost to this, but he decides he does not want a Stargate on his front fort. The Stargate's gonna finish. A Void Raid's gonna start, but that's 37 seconds before that puppy can finish. Yeah, that's 35 seconds too late. Oh, I think we can safely say MaxPax is down on the resources lost game. Intercepting those SCVs would be nice, but they slipped through. The Stalkers are going to try to take advantage of the low range on those Marines. But Clem charges in and parks them right next to the Stalkers. Oh, this is like the whole of MaxPax's army at this point. This is not good for the Protoss. Clem is just going to completely reset the Protoss army. MaxPax's only unit is a Stalker that just popped out. Meanwhile, Clem's finished his factory and he's making Cyclones. And he's expanding. So is MaxPax. That is gutsy. But he also must know if he doesn't gamble, he'll never catch up. Oh, this game was too exciting to do intros. It'd be kind of awkward if I did them now, right? Let's all just pretend I came up with 2 fresh puns for these guys' names that you'd never heard before. Clem moving his Raxes over to his natural. Reapers in the main, but the shield battery's actually going to go a long way to protecting those probes. The Reaper's base attack is so low that until the shield runs out of energy, the Reaper really can't harm those probes. But he can sure make a pest of himself, and that is what he is doing. MaxPax getting himself an Oracle out of the Stargate he made at his main. I think he wanted to kill SCVs with it, but now he's forced to use it to defend. Pulsar Beam's not so good against Cyclone. Oh, Clem goes right for the pylon, supporting the warp gate in the core. He underpowers everything. Oh, and MaxPax's supply block to boot. Everything has just come off the rails for Protoss. And Clem is not backing off here. He's streaming units over. He's almost in parade push mode here. Or he would be if he actually had enough production facilities. The Nexus of the Natural is going to finish, but there's no way anybody's going to get any mining done there. MaxPax starts up a Void Raid. He's going to try to buy time with the Stalkers and protect his ramp until that's done. But as long as he stays on the high ground, Clem's going to claim his Nexus and his core and his gate. Oh, it's now official. MaxPax throws down the Desperation Dark Shrine. The one gambit that can get any TOS player back into a game. Clem does not yet have an eBay, and if he doesn't save up enough scan energy, he could find himself in a tight spot. But first, MaxPax has got to save his natural. He gets Clem out of his natural, but he does not save it. Clem claims the Nexus as a trophy, and he's still putting on pressure. The proxy gate for those Dark Templar has gone down. MaxPax can no longer make Stalkers. MaxPax is probably thinking, nah, I was supply blocked anyway. He throws down a pylon. It's going to be a pretty sad DT rush if he can't actually get some supply freed up. Clem getting stim +1 and a starport. MaxPax is attacking. He badly needs to put on some pressure. But does he actually have the goods to fight here? It's triple cyclones on that void ray. He gets it. MaxPax gets 2 cyclones, but Clem will still take that trade. Oh, it's Oracle versus Cyclone. This is a desperation gambit. And the Oracle pulls it off. Well, he's going to brag about that at the Oracle High School reunion. How many of those Oracle's peers have actually killed a Cyclone with a pulsar beam? Not many. Okay, the supplies freed up, and the DTs are on the map. Clem made a bunker. He's being ultra cautious here. The first DT is going to try to slip through to the mineral line. Oh, Clem saw it. He saw the blur. Does he know about the second one, though? I don't think so. It's a good DT split. Clem can't scan them both. He's only got scan energy at the main. He uses it. He picks off the first DT. He's building a turret in his main mineral line. Meanwhile, MaxPax is going to bring that forward bunker down. He splits his DTs again, worried about the next scan. A wise call. But look at the size of Clem's forces. Oh, those stalkers needed to get out of there. They just get cut down. MaxPax has got a hope to no, he GG's, he has no hope. And it looks like Clem ties the series 1-1 in a very interesting game 2. Okay, obviously I'm armchairing here, benefit of hindsight and all those provisos. But looking back, MaxPax did not want to put down that Stargate proxy. And if he did, he didn't want to let it complete. It was just bad luck that Clem's Reaper got the perfect scout just in time. At that point, having made a zealot he did not need and a pylon he was about to lose, I think MaxPax was a victim of the old sunk cost fallacy. He had so much invested in it at that point, he just had to see it through. Or as the Twitter warriors like to say, this is the hill I'm gonna die on. The good news for MaxPax is he gets himself a game 3. It's officially now anybody's series. Adjutant, if you would please.
The game begins now.
I'm not getting caught unprepared this time. I'm going right to intros. Our Terran player qualified for the WCS at the age of 14, but they wouldn't let him play because he was too young. He's that good. He is Clem! Was he like born with control keys? Our Protoss player in the bottom left started playing even earlier. His career began at the age of 8. He is MaxPax! Young, old, it just might be the case that an esport is at its very best when it does not discriminate. And it's gonna be another false proxy for Clem. That's 3 games in a row he pulls this. Gate and go for MaxPax. I wanna see how he adapts. 2 games in a row, MaxPax has been stuck with a zealot he couldn't use, but do you really skip it? Clem's getting another early gas again, which makes me think Reaper. But if so, that's a weird rally point. Whatever's coming out of that Rax isn't going too far. Clem definitely showing us some mind games this series. He doesn't want to get pigeonholed as a Terran player that plays that triple CC stim rush every time. MaxPax's probe scout finds that Rax missing yet again. Same stunt, but this time we're on 2,000 atmospheres. He did not spot the Rax when his probe went by. He puts down an immediate cyber core. And this time it doesn't look like he's doing the zealot. Oh, he cancels a pylon. Oh, he's getting his 400. He's going right to an expand. He does not believe the proxy at all. Especially when he saw Clem trying to put down a CC of his own. It's not a Reaper, it's a Marine, and it's gonna intercept that probe. I just love the death animations on this map. After squeezing out that single Marine, Clem's gonna go and get himself a reactor for his barracks. MaxPax is remaking the tech stashing pylon that he canceled. Core finishes, he starts chrono boosting a stalker. No immediate tech choice, MaxPax prioritizes warp gate research. Clem goes for a second barracks. Oh, and here comes his factory. Everybody's cranking workers at the same time. It's starting to feel like we're gonna get ourselves a real macro game, despite Clem's rather interesting opening. MaxPax is gonna hustle his lone stalker across the map. He is making an adept behind it. Clem is making a bunker. In Game 2, Clem made it look like unstid Marines are good against stalkers, but that's really not the case. That bunker is so important, or the stalker can just outrange those Marines. Until that bunker finishes, Clem's gonna need to dance his Marines a bit like Zerglings. He's gotta rotate them until the Queen pops out. The bunker finishes. Oh, MaxPax has made a tech choice. He's put down a Twilight Council. Bunker finishes. That's gonna be the end of that stalker's reign of terror. We'll have to see what that Twilight is for when it finishes up. There is a second gate to go with it. Is he sprinting for DTs again, or is this just for blink? A lot of top Protosses these days just feel naked without that blink, and it looks like that's what it is. Chrono-boosted blink research. Remember in Game 1, MaxPax actually managed to blink right into Clem's main. Clem has a starport underway. He's got a tech lab building on his completed factory. Oh, Adept Shade looking to get inside. Clem is on it with the raised depots. The Adept is parked right outside the Terran base. Actually, I think she's double parked. Where's the psionic traffic cop when you need one? Nowhere, that's where. Well, maybe on the astral plane or something. Anywho, Clem's factory is gonna give its tech lab to the starport. And I just missed the opening warp gate ceremony. But we do have a robo coming up here. In Game 1, that meant MaxPax was going for an observer so he could blink into the main. Clem might be thinking of that risk as well because he started up a Raven. Oh, a Marine pack surprises the Adept and they just gun her right down. Stim has started up. MaxPax adding another gate. These are all just little skirmishes, but it's starting to get really interesting. Clem starts up barracks number 3. Who's gonna take a third base here? MaxPax, that's who. It's normal for the Protoss to be ahead of the Terran with a third base, but not so much with Clem, because Clem likes to make that early third. He's not doing it this game. Clem's scout wants to check the timing of that third. He is not gonna see it. He is stopped just in time by that stalker. With that Raven being done, we've got another tech lab switch. I think he's handing it over to his third racks. Blink finishes up and there is indeed an observer on the map. MaxPax is gonna try to add some pressure, but Clem still has his bunker. A lot of Terrans will salvage that right away, but Clem won't usually do that till he pushes out. Like I can actually predict when Clem's gonna do something. He puts his tank behind that bunker, and I don't think those stalkers are gonna find an easy way in. Stim is done now, MaxPax adding that Zealot charge upgrade. He also warps in a forge. Neither player has any numeric upgrades yet. Our players are almost completely identical on mining right now. MaxPax's third hasn't kicked in just yet. He does have the worker lead, but Clem of course has double orbitals and the mules that go with it. Combat shields being researched, marauders being made. That observer would love to get in deeper, but he saw the Raven. So for now, it's mostly just posturing with a lot of powering going on. Oh, the Raven actually snuck off. It's going for harass. I think that's bad for Clem, because unless there's like a super fast scan, MaxPax can now blink into the main. Clem's got a tank there though, so he's probably thinking, if he wants in, I'm okay with that. It's not like he's sending him some kind of embossed invitation here. I'm just saying he's got a contingency plan. I don't think MaxPax's stalkers saw that Raven, so I think he gets a free path to drop an auto turret at that third base. Oh yeah, that observer's creeping in. I wonder if MaxPax will actually pick up that the Raven's departed. Well, I guess he'll see it when it's in his base. Oh, Clem doesn't attack the third. I guess he decides there's not enough probes there. He's going for the natural. But MaxPax has warped in stalkers there to defend. He's gonna get that Raven. No, it gets out. Well, as far as Raven harass missions go, that was not the most successful of all time. Oh, the bunker did get salvaged. And now the stalkers decide to accept the tank fire in exchange for seeing what they can get done. Stalkers be like, it's okay, our shields regenerate. We can take one shot. Clem's kind of getting punished here because he's forced to split his forces into 2 groups. Because of the stalker's mobility, he has to protect his main and his natural. But he's probably got enough to hold at either location. But MaxPax's third base has now kicked in. He's out-resourcing Clem big time, but look at this sneaky sneak here. Clem has airdropped a force outside his base, and he's sneaking around behind the stalkers to trap him. Meanwhile, Clem's got a warp prism set to attack the main. It's a pincer maneuver, stalkers are trapped. Or not. Blink is very useful. He does have to pay the concussive shell tax though, and some slow stalkers get separated from the herd. Meanwhile, Clem has been able to zone out that warp prism. It's loaded with 4 charge lots. But it looks like the net result of all of this is that Clem's going to be able to get his 3rd out of his base. He needs that to catch up on income. MaxPax recalls his stalkers home, and we are on the pause button in terms of action for the moment. Clem's going to secure his triangular 3rd. Actually, I'm wrong. Clem's not defending. He's pushing out. He feels the need to do some damage. He is down over 10 workers. That's what happens when you get contained. And since he's got the bigger army, this is a good call. Max has an Immortal guarding his 3rd, but he doesn't have a Colossus yet. He's trying to get one out. Clem's Raven got off an anti-armor missile before it got sniped. Clem's going to use that to pounce. MaxPax uses Guardian Shield to try to mitigate the effects. SCVs are dying. That means there's a counterattack by MaxPax. Oh, look at that. Clem's actually using the force fields to put his tanks in good position. There is a shield battery with enough energy for battery overcharge. Clem is trying to leapfrog his tanks forward. He wants to get position over that cannon. He's done it, but he is suffering some big-time SCV losses back at home. Hopefully we can fix that in post. MaxPax's Colossus arrives and he attacks. No extended thermal lance just yet, though. I think the force fields are hurting MaxPax more than they're helping him at this point. But the battery overcharge, that's definitely helping him. It's keeping so many of his units alive. MaxPax is adding an extra Colossus. The pressure is really on Clem to do some damage with this push because he's taken so much damage at home. Oh, he's picking up his stakes. He's pulling back. Or is it a fake out? His tank's still there. Clem has green-lit the reactored Viking production. He needs that to answer the Colossi, and also the carriers if MaxPax transitions into that again. I really hope so. I want to see how Clem adapts to it. It's such a crazy thing. You want to make Marauders to deal with the Stalkers, but they are not so great against carriers. So Clem is going home. He looks a little bit frustrated here. He has the bigger army, and with the magic of mules, he's actually outmining his opponent. But there's no doubt that MaxPax came out on top on that exchange. I think on top of getting Vikings, Clem's also got to get Ghosts now. Maybe he can EMP his way out of this. Oh, MaxPax actually has a stationary observer parked on top of Clem's army. Clem is usually terrific at spotting those, but it's stationary. MaxPax might be able to see that Clem has paused making Vikings because he's trying to get out more medevacs. MaxPax has not stopped making Colossi. He's also just put down his 4th. That continues the trend in which Protoss is ahead on bases. Clem has just put on a huge burst of macro. He's got himself an even bigger army lead this time. Now he just needs to find a way to wield it effectively. MaxPax has just been on fire in this game. But he's not building a fire station. He's just put down a dark shrine. That certainly didn't work out for him in game 2. Let's see if it helps him out here. He's also getting himself another warp prism, and I think those two things are meant to go together. Warp prisms and DTs, peanut butter and chocolate. Except that you can't actually eat warp prisms, and eating DTs would be disgusting. Clem's macro continues to be crazy. He's just building everything. I think he's gonna max out pretty soon. Oh, he drops a scan and identifies the 4th base. MaxPax is there to defend though. MaxPax does not see a lot of Vikings. He's free to fire that extended thermal lance. He's also getting a disruptor. That feels like a must-have after the success he had in game 1 with that. He used those Nova Blasts to just keep pushing the Terran bio back. Oh, the fresh Nexus completes and fires off a battery overcharge. That's going to make it a really tough take. Clem missed a window there, and he probably needs to think about getting up his own 4th now. Oh, Clem's ahead of me as usual. He's halfway done to building that CC already. He's building it off-site though, so he's gonna lose some time there. Oh, sneaky sneak. Is Clem going for a mini Doom drop here? MaxPax has a spotter pylon though. That's gonna be invaluable. Did he see it? Yeah, he's racing to his main. So well done by MaxPax. So many Protoss players have just outright died to this. But look who is right on time with his Stalkers. Oh, he might not have brought enough. He doesn't have the Colossi. Clem's gonna rip into his probes. And he's attacking MaxPax's 3rd at the same time. That's where the rest of his forces are. The reinforcing Zealots arrive and they force the pickup. Meanwhile, Zealot run-by is doing exceptional damage to Clem's SCVs. MaxPax doing so much with so little. Clem's Viking is gonna shut that warp prism down. Look how low it is. No, it gets away. It's gonna live to warp another day. Clem is just struggling to clean this up. 23 dead SCVs. It's just zealots. Well, plus 2 charge lots. The mid to late game run by is such a powerful weapon for the Protoss. Just dump all those excess minerals into zealots and see what havoc you can create. Clem getting some revenge with his Widow Mines, but here's the DT follow-up. Oh, Clem shuts that down. Ironically, he handles the DTs better than the zealots. I mean, they do have 30 more hit points and they cost a lot less. One DT got through and he cost Clem his mineral line at his 3rd. Oh, MaxPax is bringing his probes back to his 4th. I don't think he knows about those Widow Mines. He's too busy executing his own wicked attack. This could be awesome. Oh! Ew! Sorry, that sounded like I was in labor or something. Oh, he still has to get detection over there. This game is crazy. Clem lost over 30 workers, and he's still fine. I mean, he's down on workers, but he hasn't been gutted. Oh, he might have run out of scans here. That DT is gonna need Shadow Stride. It's being researched, but he doesn't have it yet. Does anybody remember when Shadow Stride was like an obscure upgrade that only like Zest was using? Now it's like an automatic core upgrade. Seems to be like, if you're gonna invest in DTs, why wouldn't you get it? Okay, so those Hero Widow Mines got cleaned up. Good news for Clem, he's now gotten Ghosts. I think his army really needed those. MaxPax really adding to his disruptor count. And he's about to finish his +3 attack. No defensive upgrades, he went for a single forge. Clem's about to be behind on numeric upgrades. He's just got +1/+1. MaxPax sending his force at Clem's base here. If he saw the full size of Clem's army behind him like we see, he'd be a lot more nervous. Once again, MaxPax using his disruptors for battlefield control. Even when he misses, it always feels like he gets the terrain space that he needs to operate. Just a second ago, it looked like his army was about to be cut off and carved up. But the Protoss makes good on its escape. I think Clem's gonna wind up being stuck sitting on a whole bunch of Vikings. Oh, another run by. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that the Colossi are gone. MaxPax isn't remaking them, he's going for disruptors instead. And the carrier transition I was hoping for doesn't seem to be happening. Oh, big time disruptor hits. This is almost starting to feel like a classic battle between micro and macro. Every time you look at the production tab, you see that Clem is building so much more stuff. Oh, and Clem just EMP'd all the disruptors and finished them off. He does have 2 left, but only 2. MaxPax is gonna need to make him count to save his 4th. He is. Is Clem gonna make that critical inroad here? This base is very important to MaxPax. He will not trade it for NFTs or baseball cards. Oh, there's still DTs in the main while this is all going on. How do you micro disruptors and have a counter assault at the same time? That's impossible. Battery overcharge making life easier for the Protoss. Zealots breaching the mineral line at Clem's 3rd. The missile turret doesn't help him much against that. And MaxPax has successfully defended. Clem picks up. Is this our TSN turning point? MaxPax has defended and he's done so much more damage with so much less. But then you look at the production tab and see that Clem is making 10 things at once. MaxPax, maybe 1. And then I don't think that MaxPax can win this game until he gets on top of Clem's production and actually shuts that down. Which might be what MaxPax is trying to do here. He's brought an assault force up to Clem. Let's see if MaxPax can make an inroad. Clem has got a really healthy number of medevacs pooled up at this point. You know, I'd be a lot braver too if I was followed around by a medevac. Clem snipes the 3rd. And not just the command center, he sniped an extra 10 SCVs while he was at it. And then he just recalls back to prevent Clem from getting revenge. And just like that, Clem is way down on workers, and it's definitely showing in his income. Clem knows it and feels the pressure to come out and attack, and that's right when MaxPax ups his harass with his DTs. Oh my god, MaxPax has killed so many SCVs in this game. Clem knows he's gotta even the score on bases here, but it's hard to kill a Nexus and dodge Disruptor Blast at the same time. Clem says he can multitask. He gets the laser light show. Unlike Clem though, MaxPax has rescued his workers. Unlike MaxPax though, Clem is not supply blocked. So, just how deep can Clem push this attack? Can you imagine what the surface must look like on top of 2,000 atmospheres? It's gotta be absolutely littered with floating junk. Some little kid named Johnny is gonna pick up a severed stalker leg and use it as a pool toy. Look, mommy, it floats. Johnny, you put that stalker leg away. Don't make me call the lifeguard over here. You know he plays Protoss. Oh, Clem's gonna get the natural too. MaxPax has to sack it. Just when I think Clem is done, he goes and does some serious damage and evens up the score, and now he's going for the main. Look at that, MaxPax had a huge income lead and it's just crashed right off. Oh, Clem's got Liberators, he can own that ramp. He does. I don't think MaxPax wants to go up that. Clem hits that critical caster pylon and unpowers 3 gateways and a forge. MaxPax has put a serious army together, but is it big enough to bust up a ramp? Meanwhile, those shadow striding DTs are still causing havoc. They're also bleeding off all of Clem's mule energy. As terrible as Clem's worker count is, MaxPax is starting to look pretty shabby too. This is starting to feel a bit like round 10 in a boxing match. Both our players are badly bruised, cuts over their eyes, and just terribly exhausted. But if Hollywood has taught us anything, it's that both our boxers have the utmost respect for one another. And after a series like this, I bet that's probably actually true. Clem decides he's done the damage that he came for. He picks up and gets out of there and saves his army. Clem definitely has the bigger army. That's what he's got going for him right now. But despite killing 20 probes, MaxPax still has the better economy. Clem's making SCVs 3 at a time, but it's still going to be a while before he can recover. If at all, the DT attacks have been perpetual and relentless. I gotta say, this has been a pretty decent series. We're now about to hit the 20-minute mark, and I can honestly say either player could still take this. But it's Clem who's got the next big strike. He's killing so many probes. MaxPax with the recall to save his Nexus. But boy did that hurt. He's down to 18 workers. Nova shot at Clem's armory. Oh! Clem lost 15 supply in 1 hit. And the Stalkers clean up the rest. I thought MaxPax was done, but maybe not. MaxPax does not seem to be remaking probes. That's often a sign that a player will push all their chips in and go for one big attack. Clem is mining 0 gas right now. He's making 4 more refineries to try to fix that. He is completely gas blocked. What do we call that? Constipation? I feel like we need a term for that. Freedom from flatulence? Oh, I'm wrong. MaxPax has gone back to making probes. Could this game actually stabilize from here? I mean, at this point, both our boxers have broken ribs. I mean, the medical doctor in charge of calling the fight should have his license revoked at this point. Clem hunting down those death operas. The gas is once again flowing for the Terran. That means he can finally start making Marauders again. MaxPax remaking his Cyber Core so he can actually make a Stalker. I'm starting to believe this game will actually stabilize. The worker counts have been steadily creeping up. Oh, nice probe pull by MaxPax. He only loses a single worker there. Clem reacts quickly, repositioning his Liberator. I remember when Liberators first came out and I first saw somebody using it to harass a mineral line. It felt like it was so OP, I couldn't believe that every Terran player wasn't doing that in every single game. And for a couple of weeks, they kind of were. It took a while for everybody to learn how to defend that. Clem, who still has the bigger army, is looking to see if he can push into MaxPax's base again. But do you ever really, truly have the bigger army when your opponent has a disruptor? It's almost like the great Master Jedi Yoda would say, size matters not. Though I think any Starcraft vet would tell you, size matters quite a bit. Until you start dealing with beyond level of micro, macro wins games. As one of my favorite Starcraft mentors once taught me, get more stuff. Yeah, thanks. I hadn't thought of that. Clem starts up +3. That's actually going to put him even on upgrades when he gets it. Or really ahead, since MaxPax doesn't have any armor upgrades. Oh, MaxPax continues to do fantastic work with these disruptors. Clem is just getting whittled down again. Oh, he's going to try to make a play for that 4th. He was denied by MaxPax last time. He stims and goes in. Oh, MaxPax cannot afford to lose his workers here. Every probe kill hurts MaxPax's economy by like 5%. Oh, and a Nexus would be even more. Oh, that was huge. That just crippled MaxPax's economy. He knows it. That's GG. That's the series. Wow, that was quite the game. The whole series was good. Stick around. We're going to have ourselves a little contest here. Okay, so Katowice, the global finals of Starcraft 2 is coming up. Games starting on February 23rd. This is the tournament with the biggest prize money, the spiritual successor of BlizzCon. It's also the most grueling Starcraft 2 tournament out there in terms of how many games you have to play to win. As always, I'm excited and I want to join in the hype a bit here. Let's have a prediction contest in the comments section. All you have to do is post your top 5 picks and arrange them in order 1 to 5. That's it. I'm going to play 2. Why not clobber the Zugster? Your random guesses are just as good as mine. So whoever guesses the winner with their number 1 pick wins. It's that easy. If 2 people do, we'll look to see how their number 2 pick did as the tiebreaker. Nobody picks the winner with their number 1 pick. We look at number 2 picks, then number 3, and so on. There is, though, one special rule. One of your top 5 picks must be what we'll call a dark horse. So this is a bit of a tribute to James, who I think shares my love of supporting dark horses. Now, realistically, there's no such thing as a dark horse in Katowice. Every player is qualified through a year-long process, and they're all incredibly good. But here's how this works. One of your top 5 must be from the round of 36. Those are the players who face a much greater chance of elimination. You can have that dark horse as your number 1, your number 5, it doesn't matter. But you have to have at least one round of 36 player in your list to be eligible to win. You can have more than one round of 36 player if you want. Totally up to you. As I said, I'm going to play 2, but so I don't subconsciously bias everyone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post my own pick in my next video. You'll just have to believe me that I've already written it down. Now, just to manage expectations here, we're doing this for bragging rights. There is no cash prize. This channel's motto is we are broke at all times. So I don't need your address. Don't send that to me. I'll post the winner in a video and make you as internet famous as I can, which means you can be assured of great privacy because we're not exactly big around here. So it's just for funsies. Costs nothing, of course, and it's cool to have some tiny bit of skin in a tournament. It gives you some people to root for. Hopefully we can get a few people participating. Who knows, maybe one year we'll be big enough that we can actually make such a contest meaningful and have real prizes. So a call out to all you silent types. Don't leave me hanging, it'll take you 2 seconds. Drop me your top 5 and let's have some fun. So, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.